On the Fringe with Dan radio style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Dushan's definitely got his ruling out. We're going to talk about that. Not a surprise. The way this played out, kind of exactly what I said was going to happen. But I think this was always the plan. We'll see. Got a lot to talk about there. Obviously going to talk more about the fires. Some interesting information coming out around that as well. And we're going to touch upon a few conspiratorial things. I will say, obviously, I've been opposed to much of the conspiracy theory and still am, but we do have a lot going on right now. Again, what's funny is, well, John Harold is definitely someone I have respect for, and he's being extraordinarily successful. He had a comment that he made, and we're going to get to it in a second, that I think is how some of us content creators feel. And again, it's not any slam on anybody, self included. I mean, again, there's just so many thoughts about what's happening, and there is generally a jump to some of the more conspiratorial grounds immediately. And again, there could be truth to a lot of it. Maybe there's not. I will say, living here in the state, experiencing the wind the way it was, even being 45 miles roughly from the crow fly, from where the fires were, still getting the same weather. So there's a lot of components to this that I think are just typical California. But the conspiracy is why this has been allowed to get as bad as it is. And so we're going to get into that. And I've got some very good information that I think will be useful. I want to start off with this first just because it's kind of funny. And I'm hoping we can start with some humor, and then we'll go from there. Check this out, though.
3, 2, 1, go. Okay, fingers in. Okay, seatbelt comes off. There we go. Loop in. Okay, now with my other hand, I'm going to kick the seat back and I'm going to open the seat. I'm going to open the door, okay? 3, 2, 1. All the way down. I'm out and I can escape freely, okay?
Ah! 3 fingers. 2 fingers. Seat down.
In the arms of the angel.
I mean, it's not funny, but it is funny, right? I mean, come on, that's pretty damn funny. So anyway, good spoof by a Brit, nonetheless, right? And he's actually smiling at one point, so we know how he feels. Here's John Harold's comment that I kind of feel like is how my world feels oftentimes. It is what it is. No slams on anybody. There's nobody in particular I'm thinking of, so nobody get all butthurt. But this video is caused a lot of people to assume a lot of things, right, wrong, or indifferent. I'll play the video. It's real short, but here it is.
I'm gonna take a pillowcase, fill it full of bars of soap, and beat the shit out of you.
I like that they're kind of making jokes about it, but John Harold says Trump gets chummy with Obama one time at a state funeral, and now half my feed thinks Obama has secretly been on Team Trump this whole time. Love y'all, but I don't have strong enough meds to have this discussion today. Check back tomorrow. And again, that's just kind of where things tend to jump sometimes. They jump to kind of the extreme or the ridiculous. And I don't think Obama is someone that Trump is chummy with. I would be extraordinarily surprised if that were the case. But, and Trump does talk about it, and we've got some of that coming up. He gets along with everybody. And it's kind of how I am. I've talked to people I don't like, and I'll still get along with them. That's just how I'm wired. It's just what I do. So, I don't know. It is what it is. Acting ICE director. This is the guy that's under Biden right now. He's got some pretty strong opinions about the border.
Do you think that Biden should have taken that action earlier?
Yes.
Why?
Yes. Absolutely, yes, he should have. The administration should have taken that action earlier, and I think the career people in DHS would have liked that, and all of us in DHS, quite frankly. I don't know if anybody in DHS wouldn't have wanted that earlier. Maybe there's some counselors here or there that don't like this kind of stuff, but law enforcement is always going to be on that side where we want, some tighter controls. Because for a while there, you remember, it was 10,000 plus.
Yeah. So even he's saying, hey, no, we would have rather have dealt with this differently. So good stuff that they did this. Very weird thing happening out in front of the Space Force base. They are being very quiet about what it was, but this Channel 2 News actually had some pretty good information on their coverage. I wanted to play this. I, again, don't know exactly what's going on. I didn't see any additional news pop up. I'd imagine they're being somewhat tight-lipped, but this is strange.
An investigation at Patrick Space Force Base closed off part of A1A for hours today, but law enforcement still hasn't said what's being investigated. West 2's Haley Crumbleholm explains what Chopper 2 was able to capture.
Both law enforcement and Patrick Space Force Base have been pretty vague about what happened here near the east gate to the base, simply saying there was law enforcement activity and an investigation. But exclusive video from our Chopper 2 shows what looks like a bomb robot checking out a truck.
I was completely mind blown. Like, this is a tiny town. This never happens.
This couple was trying to get home to Indialantic when the investigation at Patrick Space Force Base brought their drive to a halt.
We were driving down A1A, and then all of a sudden we saw probably 4 or 5 police cars and a SWAT car come storming by while we were right outside of Patrick Air Force Base. We were trying to get over the A1A bridge to get to Indialantic, and they shut down the roads entirely and made us turn around.
Other drivers said they saw other law enforcement teams.
When I was sitting here, a vehicle went by with the trailer on the back with the bomb squad, said bomb squad on it.
Exclusive video from our Chopper 2 camera saw what looked like a bomb robot pushing at the passenger door of a black truck. Law enforcement kept information vague about what was going on, with Sheriff Wayne Ivey saying on social media, due to law enforcement activity in the area of Patrick Space Force Base, A1A is temporarily shut down north of the Pineda Causeway and south of the Tides restaurant. Please avoid the area at this time.
It was all closed.
The road was closed off for hours. The base said access was limited to their south gate due to an ongoing investigation at the east gate. For everyone's safety and security, the area has been closed to ensure the investigation proceeds without interruption. By around 6 o'clock, the road reopened, with the sheriff saying on X that this incident has been resolved. We are still working to get more information about what happened here. As soon as we have it, we'll bring it to you on air and online at WESH.com. Covering Brevard County, Haley Crumbleholm, WESH 2 News.
I love her little broadcast voice that she uses. Crumbleholm, first off, is a hilarious last name, and sorry, I've got to cover the two stoners. Where are the stoners? All those two cracked me up. Where were they? That smile on that dude's face. The guy's high as a damn kite. There it is. Look at this dude. He is so friggin' high. Good God Almighty. Whatever the case is, I don't know what exactly happened. Obviously, some sort of bomb threat potentially, or worse. Want to remind you guys, of course, of the 401k IRA, your wealth. You've spent years accumulating this wealth. It's probably about as good as it's ever going to get from that standpoint. But here's the thing. You don't want to just bail out on your stocks, obviously. You don't want to just bail out on your 401k. What you do want to consider, though, is the fact that the prices of gold and silver have not only been going up, but they've been going up and up and up. They've continued to hit record highs. Record highs we started back in 2021. They've never been as high as they were. And if you would have bought back then at its record high, well, we'd be up another $900 per ounce right now over the record high because it's at a new record high. And there's an article, and I got to try to pull it back up, and I forgot to get it. But there's an article of Chase. They're talking about how the price of gold could easily cross 4,000. And silver's obviously going to jump a bunch. There's a lot of growth. I think it's at 26 something right now. There's a lot of growth still waiting inside of that. Diversify your portfolio. Don't have all your eggs in this 401k basket because we know that there's any number of things that are going to happen in this world, especially once Trump gets into office, that could very easily rock that boat. And once that boat gets rocked and it drops 20, 25% or whatever, you don't want to have all your eggs in there. And right now with inflation happening and the value of the dollar being chipped away just daily, 25% of your buying power was removed during Biden's administration. What's happening with gold is it's holding the buying power, and in fact, it's actually gone positive, meaning if you would have bought an ounce of gold for $1,700 back in the day, and then you sold that ounce of gold right now at 26 or whatever, you'd actually be able to buy more than what you could have bought for $1,700 back then You could buy more than that stuff right now. The buying power is actually increased a pretty decent percentage. The only other asset to do this well is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's done extraordinarily well when it comes to buying power. Stocks haven't. Real estate hasn't. The dollars, currencies, none of that has. Diversify. That's what it's all about. Let my good friends at Goldco help you do that. One, if you've got a qualifying 401k, and you're going to get a pop-up when you fill out the information, so don't even worry about this Ronald Reagan thing. What's kind of cool is just fill out the information here, right? Go to the regular landing page, drslikesgold.com. That's drslikesgold.com. You see my stupid face on here, and you're going to get a new, possibly, anyways, a 50-50 split on which page you're going to land on when you come. But Trump and Your Financial Future, they've got a great free bonus book that they're also giving away. So on top of possibly getting a Ronald Reagan coin, we'll talk about that in a second, you're also going to get this awesome Trump book and your wealth protection kit. Learn about how you can diversify into a precious metals IRA. And also what's super cool is when you fill out the data points and you say, get me my free gold and silver kit today, it's going to take you to a page and it gives you like 15 minutes. And if you actually contact them within 15 minutes, you get that free coin. It's like the $16, $17, $18 value, that Ronald Reagan coin, just for calling them first and making it easy. Get your wealth protection kit. Also, up to 10% of the face value of your 401k, they will give you free silver. In fact, they were going to put a silver calculator maybe in here. Yeah, request your free and gold silver kit now. There's some other cool stuff in here. They've been adding some very cool stuff to this page. So you want to check it out. There's the gold and silver kit. I think something like 49,000 up to just under 100,000. It's about 5% free silver. And then anything over 100,000, it's 10%. So that's why they say up to 10%. It just depends on where you're at, but you want to diversify. You don't want to do more than 50% of your 401k or IRA. I mean, you can, but generally speaking, they would suggest that other clients don't do that, and they're not going to give you financial advice. That's what's awesome about Goldco. Their job is to handle this transfer. Their job is to do that legally, tax-free, penalty-free, and help you with all the questions you have. They are amazing, and they've got the best customer service I've ever seen, bar none. In fact, they even quote me in here. I trust only Goldco for my precious metal investments. They are kind, professional, and bar none the best customer service out there. And it's true. They are. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. I know Trump's coming into office, and a lot of people think everything is going to get fixed immediately. That's very unlikely. You see the writing on the wall. We see all the crazy stuff that's going on. We see the potential Panama Canal and all this stuff, right? There's a lot of weird stuff on the horizon. Be cautious. Diversify. Don't have all your eggs in any one basket right now. Spread it out a little bit. Give yourself a chance to take a bunch of this wealth with you to the other side, whatever that might be. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Protect your wealth before they take it away from you. And that is ultimately their plan. All right, we got a bunch going on with the fire. So first off, state of emergencies right now. There's multiple states that have emergencies. Californians for fire. Winter storms for North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama all have declared states of emergencies because of the severe winter storms. Also, this massive 5-alarm fire ripping through the Bronx apartment buildings, leaving 7 injured as nearly 200 firefighters are battling these flames, fueled by heavy winds. Also, apparently out in New York. Now, this was obviously at night. I think last night for that matter, or early this morning, one of the two. But yeah, some pretty extensive fires going on over there. So obviously my prayers go out to anybody that's experiencing these kinds of crazy stuff. Now here is kind of where the conspiracy first starts. Same situation happened in Hawaii, Honolulu anyways. Same situation happening more or less in Portland. Like if you look at a lot of the cities where they want to do smart cities, LA happens to be one of them. Smart LA 2028. Why is it every time they've got these smart cities, then all of a sudden we've got all these things that line up that make it, well, a lot of property suddenly available or rebuilding possible? Think about how sinister that is if you think about it, right? They want to do this, and whether or not the government's going to buy all the land, which it very well might, but I think a lot of people here in California aren't going to be stupid enough to sell. But if that's what they're going to do, think of all the people that have lost homes, lost their most prized possessions, only so California can rebuild in the image and likeness of their God. This is very concerning. Now, there's more to be said about this. We'll get to it all. This is something that, and I think I've got another slide coming up a little bit later that actually shows it happening on the air. But the emergency message was sent out telling Los Angeles County residents Thursday afternoon that an evacuation warning had been issued for their area, and it was sent in error. We're going to come and find out that they don't actually have control over the EAS system. Again, I've got information coming up. The alert was intended for residents near the Kenneth fire, but was mistakenly issued countywide. They can't even manage the emergency alert system properly right now. They are making mistakes everywhere, causing panic in this case, and worse, little boy who cried wolf. Now people are actually going to question whether or not the alert's true when they get them. This county, this state, this city, Los Angeles, is so horribly managed that they're failing on every single level. Every single level. Now, this is kind of a powerful little statement here, if I remember correctly. It ties in, I don't remember exactly what he says, but check it out.
November 7, 1983. Remember this date, but first, let me introduce you to Karen Bass. Back in the 1970s, community activist Karen Bass went on at least 15 trips to Cuba, many with a group known as the Venceremos Brigade, a Marxist group started by the Castro regime to subvert American interests, weaken democracies, and spread communism around the world. Founded in 1969, the Venceremos Brigade organized trips to Cuba every year for half a century. They attracted the most radicalized and delusional segments of the American left, including overtly Maoist and pro-Soviet communist groups. In fact, a Los Angeles police investigator who infiltrated the group testified to Congress saying that to be a member of the brigade, you had to be confirmed as a Marxist-Leninist. As a brigadista and then moving up the ranks to organizer for the Venceremos Brigade, Karen Bass visited Cuba every 6 months. Their mission? To radicalize young, impressionable American leftists in terrorist tactics and guerrilla warfare. Members of the Venceremos Brigade were even taught how to make bombs.
Jesus Christ!
Karen Bass admits, on her many pilgrimages to Cuba, she went to see Fidel Castro speak several times, even calling him charismatic, and upon his death, praised him, saying, "The passing of Commandant en Jefe is a great loss to the people of Cuba, even though the people of Cuba see him as a dictator who impoverished their island." Another group, the M19, took its belief in revolutionary anti-imperialism to extremes, violent extremes. The M19 was the first and only women-created and women-led domestic terrorist group. Since their founding in 1978, M19's tactics escalated from robbing armored trucks and abetting prison breaks to building their own explosives and carrying out terrorist bombings. From 1983 to 1984, M19 bombed an FBI office, the Israel Aircraft Industries building, the South African consulate in New York, DC's Fort McNair, and Navy Yard, which they bombed twice. But that wasn't enough for them. On the night of November 7, 1983, the M19 called the US Capitol switchboard and warned them to evacuate the building. Minutes later, the M19 bombed the north wing of the US Capitol. November 7, 2023 marks 40 years since the M19's bombing of the US Capitol. Members of the M19, like Susan Rosenberg, traveled to Cuba with and were radicalized by the Venceremos Brigade. The South Los Angeles Venceremos Brigade was led by Karen Bass, who is now mayor of Los Angeles.
How it all comes together, doesn't it? And this is our mayor. This is the one that has failed us on so many different levels. Here's Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson talking about this abysmal failures going on here in California.
Yeah, we were just talking about the wildfire situation and how crazy it is that they spent $24 billion last year on the homeless.
Yeah.
And what did they spend on preventing these wildfires?
Zero.
Not zip.
Zip. And in 2019, I think Newsom said, I'm going to take care of the forests and maintain the forests and do all that kind of stuff. He didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything. And then on top of that, they cut the water off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's all funny. And then I think all our tax dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know, but it's like, it's sad. It's like the place is just on fire.
Well, the whole state is just so poorly managed. It's so it's so frustrating and confusing. And then he gets on TV and pretends like everything's great. Mm-hmm. And California is the best. We have the best state. We have the most amazing economy. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind, dude. You've ruined this state. Like, personally ruined it.
Well, it's the same team that was up in San Francisco, and they came down to L.A., and they're doing what they did in San Francisco. And San Francisco's kind of like apocalyptic now,
Yeah.
I went there, and it's just like people, homeless. It's a mess.
It's just unbelievable that society can crumble that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It really is unbelievable.
It doesn't take long.
No.
It's a mess, and everyone's talking about it. This is going to be horrible for them. Now, here's an example of our fearless mayor lying to people. Oh, are you surprised? Of course you're not, but here's an example of it.
Governor, you got a second? Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the call.
Why is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
To fill the hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that.
I literally have.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see the. Do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, including making sure people
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing? Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact information?
Right there.
Yeah, it's email me at whogiveshit governor.com. Literally lying to her. I'm on the phone with the president. She's like, well, I want to see it. No, well, I can't actually. I'm not actually. You lied. You're a liar. The hair gel's getting to your brain. It's insanity. Joe Biden's claiming that Los Angeles fire hydrants hadn't actually run dry because of a water shortage. Yeah, this dude's a frickin' retard. But on top of that, he's also a liar.
I want to be clear. What I know from talking to the governor, that there are concerns out there that there's also been a water shortage. The fact is, the utilities understandably shut off power because they're worried the lines that they carried energy were going to be blown down and spark additional fires. But the Cal Fire, when it did that, it cut off the ability to generate pumping the water. That's what caused the lack of water in these hydrants. And so Cal Fire is bringing in generators to get these pumps up and working again so that there's no longer a shortage of water coming out of these hydrants.
Where was that forethought while this was all happening? Again, this was not a surprise that the windstorm was coming. Every time we have windstorms, all of our power lines fall down or arc and cause fires. That's every single time. So where was the preparations? Where were the backup plans? Because there's always a backup plan. Oh, yeah, that's right. They cut the budgets. They cut the budgets big time. That's right. Yeah, because they're trying to save money. Leaked memo reveals L.A. Mayor Karen Balls demanded her fire department cut an extra $49 million just 1 week before the wildfires broke out. This is on top of the cuts they already made, the 17.6 million cuts that some retards out there are actually saying that's not true. And then Community Notes comes in and says, yes, it is. It's in fact actually true. She wanted them to cut even more. Even more. Libs of TikTok, just to remind us, holy crap, the Los Angeles deputy mayor is under investigation for allegedly calling in a bomb threat to the city hall. The FBI raided his home a few weeks ago, and he was placed on leave. And he's not pro Karen Balls, by the way. So I'm wondering if he was going to rat somebody out, admit to something. Who knows, but this is also part of the crazy that we've going on here. Now, we've got this reservoir in the Palisades that holds 117 million gallons of water. It was offline this month for previously scheduled maintenance. It was empty. This right here was what they would have used to help with the fire hydrants and things of those nature. It wasn't that the power was shut off. They literally emptied this thing so they could do maintenance when we're having a windstorm, and they had no way to deal with any fires that would have broken out in this area. And on top of that, we of course know that there's been arson, and we're going to talk about that as well. But yes, this was empty. 117 million gallons of water that could have been used to put out fires, that could have been used to send water through the fire hydrants, that could have been used by the fire department to protect homes, property, and try to stop the fire, especially when we didn't have airdrops. Now, shitty California Democrat policy now costs all American taxpayers as Biden's Ukraine, California. Essentially, Biden says he's going to pay for 100% of the costs for the initial disaster response to the United States. Now, I've seen a lot of people kind of misquote this. A lot of people are like, well, they only gave $750 to people in North Carolina. They're not giving any money to the people here at all. That's not what this represents. They specifically say in here. They're meeting with federal officials at the White House. Biden said the funds would go towards debris removal, temporary shelters, and salaries for the first responders for 180 days. Nothing in there about replacing homes, helping pay for the insurance costs, any of that. So again, I'm pissed off too. I wouldn't want U.S. taxpayers to have to pay to help rebuild California, especially considering this is one of the richest states in the union. But it's also very much being misrepresented. They're paying for debris removal, temporary shelters, and salaries for first responders. Nothing about giving property, giving homes, none of that shit. None of it. Not even food, for that matter. They're just temporary shelters. They're not even giving food. So again, the federal government's not doing shit here, and they're not helping anybody, but they are going to pay at least the emergency responders, which they should. And thank God. Also understand we've got National Guard finally coming in. How many days have these fires been going on? And now, finally, National Guard's coming? Again, just failure after failure after failure. More than 7,500 state personnel have been deployed to battle the Southern California brush fire, including the California National Guard. 4 major brush fires in the region are responsible for burning over 28,000 acres, which honestly is not very big. We have brush fires that go hundreds of thousands of acres. Happens frequently. They don't generally affect structures. This 28,000 acres, half of that at least, is burnt down neighborhoods. That's extraordinary. That's rare. That doesn't usually happen. So fire crews are still trying to get these fires under control. There's a couple of them that have slight containment. 6% was the last number I saw, I think, on the Palisades fire. It's better than nothing, but we're far, far from being out of the woods, no pun intended. And the worst part is the winds are going to pick back up tonight. Friday night, they're going to pick back up. We're in a tough place, folks. This is far from over for us. And we've got actually a good piece of video coming up that shows a guy really kind of giving a proper warning to those of us here. And for any of us that have hopefully been listening to my voice for any length of time, you are prepared the best you can. You should have plenty of Second Amendment stuff, and certainly you should have some food and hopefully some cash put aside and everything else. This is a tricky time for sure, and we've got to be very, very careful. Now, this is a video of them capturing one of the arsonists yesterday.
Commander 21, Adams is transferring. Incident command, Commander 21, boy.
So basically how this played out is a bunch of citizens saw this dude running around with a butane torch, you know, those ones that are about that big. And you click, 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 and you can start fires. And he was walking up to trash cans and starting fires within the trash cans. The citizens said, whoa, whoa, you got to stop, buddy, you got to stop. Then enough citizens came around, surrounded this dude, and did a citizen's arrest, called the cops, got the cops there. So the cops have, in fact, come and arrested this guy, put him in jail. They've been talking to him all night. I think at this point, LAPD confirms citizens detained this suspect tied to the Kenneth fire, which is believed to be arson. They say this is a crime scene, and it's being investigated. And then the very next morning, we find out that, I don't know if I've got it out of order here, but the very next morning, they basically said they can't hold the guy for arson because they didn't actually see him trying to start fires. But he is out. He's not out, I'm sorry, but he's in jail still because of, I want to say he was he fled bail or something along those lines. Like he should have been in jail anyway. So they found that the record, and they basically kept him in jail for that. I think, obviously, a lot of risk that he, of course, is going to go back out and start fires if we let him back out on the streets, which, honestly, is surprising that Los Angeles isn't doing that. My guess is the sheriff is actually putting his foot down and saying, hell no, I don't care what Los Angeles City Council wants to do or any of that nonsense. It's like, we are going to do what needs to be done, and we're going to keep people like this, these animals, off the streets. And there's been some tougher talk. That's for sure. What we've got here is Los Angeles authorities say that drone operators will face legal action following an incident where the Super Scooper aircraft battling the Palisades fire collided with a drone on Thursday. This plane will remain grounded. We have 2 planes that we borrowed. 2 planes is all we got, and then some helicopters. One of them is out of commission because of some fuckface flying drones around and literally crashed into this plane. This is, again, just insanity.
If you're thinking that it's fun to send a drone up in the area for your own amusement, or you want to get information that nobody else can get, and you do it in one of these areas that for which drones are not permitted, I'll repeat one more time. You will be arrested, you will be prosecuted, and you will be punished to the full extent of the law. If you're thinking that...
Now, again, remember, they can't figure out what's going on with the drones on the East Coast. Trump's going to talk about that. I've got something there, too. But at least any commercial drones, yeah, we absolutely have technology where they can shut those things down. They can put up no-fly zones. And it does immediately send the information to the feds of who's operating it, where they're located. And, yeah, they can figure all that stuff out. So anybody out there doing that, flying your drones around thinking I'm going to get the story, you're going to end up in jail, and I'm going to laugh at you. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't give a shit. I'm going to laugh at you because right now you're causing problems. And right now we need to get our shit together big time, and we can't be having things making it worse. Los Angeles accidentally sends this evacuation alert. This is when the actual alert came out. And I think my next slide talks about how the EAS system isn't even under our control right now.
We're just mapping out here are under mandatory evacuations. And obviously you can hear all of our phones are going off some type of alert, an evacuation warning, it looks like.
Yeah, my alert reads, This is an emergency message from the LA County Fire Department. An evacuation warning has been issued in your area.
Yeah.
This
is what this looks like.
Remain vigilant of any threats and be ready to evacuate. Gather loved ones, pets, and supplies. Continue to monitor local weather news and the webpage alertla.org for more information.
Yeah, so these alerts come, based on where you are.
It's like on my phone.
Yeah, and here we are in West LA, and we're getting an alert. We'll have to look into why. It would not be from what we're talking about right here up to the north.
So it freaked them out because they were nowhere near fires. At first, when I saw it come through, and they're like, wait, why is this happening? I'm like, probably because there's a fire close to you, retards. Well, I've got to withdraw that. I still think they're actually, I've been watching the Fox News. They've actually been doing a really, really good job doing the coverage, and they were doing it commercial free for damn near like 2 days. Pretty impressive. But here is LA County Emergency Management spokesman saying, yeah, they don't have control over their EAS system.
Well, in coordination with our federal and state partners, how we can stop the messages that are going out right now that are not being initiated by a human action to stop that and then understand how that occurred so that the tool can still be used for what was identified as like a critical fire weather that we're still in experiencing and will continue to experience.
Obviously, this dude should not be the spokesperson because he's not very good at speaking, but it is what it is. So again, National Guard being deployed to Los Angeles fire zones, says the sheriff. Thank God that's actually happening. Here's Los Angeles placing a mandatory lockdown curfew. I'm going to play this as well. This is going to hopefully keep some of the riffraff out. They have definitely found a lot of people breaking into homes, breaking into businesses, looting and stuff. Again, just like everywhere, whenever they evacuate, all the looters come running in. Well, LA sheriff is, he's got tougher words than typically LA talks. It's kind of nice to see.
What I want to go to next, and we started talking about this last night, is a curfew. A curfew order has been established for the Palisades and Eaton fire areas in all mandatory evacuation zones. That will be in effect. It was in effect last night, and it's going to be in effect tonight at 6 p.m. So it ended at 6 a.m. this morning, will take effect again until 6 p.m. I'm emphasizing that to our media partners because part of this is communicating to the public. You cannot be in these affected areas. If you are subject to arrest.
Yeah, because again, looting and everything else that's been happening is just frickin' out of control. I've got 3 really good videos here. This one, it's kind of in the conspiracy realm, but I think actually very correctly so. And this dude did a pretty damn funny job handling something really serious. Check it out.
Come. Hey. Boy, climate change is crazy. You seeing these wildfires happening in California?
Interesting time for a wildfire to happen, wouldn't you agree?
You don't think they're wildfires?
Let me show you something.
We're at 302 Pico, and people are lighting fires now. You can see they lit a fire. These guys, not all the people there, but some of those guys lit that fire, and they're actually, the trees caught fire.
Isn't it interesting that the insurance company's policies have changed so recently concerning fires? Isn't it interesting that a couple weeks before a new president who doesn't like child trafficking going to come and execute justice, a lot of places where evidence probably would be is burning right now. There's a lot of climate change happening specifically at the addresses of P. Diddy's best friends. You're young. They are dirty. You will see. Come back when you're ready for more.
Okay.
Yeah. There's so much truth to that, and we're not done by any stretch of the imagination. Police actually found tunnels under Diddy's home. A lot of people wondering whether or not these would survive the fire. My guess is they for sure will. But everything above that, baby oil burns. I know that much, especially baby oil that's been drugged. So, yeah, imagine how much stuff is no longer available.
The FBI found a tunnel this morning at the mansion of famous rapper Diddy in Los Angeles, Part 2. After receiving an anonymous tip from neighbors, agents rushed to the scene. During their search, they uncovered a tunnel beneath the carpet in Diddy's bedroom. Despite the family's pleas not to enter, the officers hesitated but ultimately decided to go in. The tunnel looked freshly dug, with wet dirt on the walls and trash scattered around. As they ventured deeper, the narrow space suddenly opened up to reveal 6 locked rooms. The agents couldn't access these rooms, and even more bizarrely, they found multiple intersections ahead in the tunnel. For safety, the agents called for backup and split up to investigate further. What they discovered was shocking. A tunnel connecting to the infamous Playboy Mansion, along with others leading to several Hollywood celebrities' homes. As the agents delved deeper, they quickly surrounded these residences.
Isn't that interesting? And then finally this guy, which is giving everybody, and this is, I guess, kind of a message for those of us here, or those of us in any emergency zones right now. but specifically here in California. So again, I apologize to those that don't live here, but this is some good advice, and I think he uses some F words and stuff. Hopefully you guys can handle that, but I think his advice is quite sound, and we all need to be watching our own backs right now.
Okay, this is for everybody in LA. If you survived the fire, congrats. This is round 2. This is threat number 2. Threat number 1 was the fire. It's slowing down, great. Do not relax. There's no time for fucking tears yet, no crying, no nothing. This is game time, because human beings are the apex predator. People are aware. Cops, nobody's responding to crimes right now. Everything is going to be covered and overlooked by this whole fire that's happening. People are already breaking into businesses, breaking into houses, harming other people, unaliving other people, because nobody's gonna fucking take the time. There's too much happening for people to look at. Oh, this person's not breathing no more. Was it a red rum or was it the devastation? There's too many things to be focused on. All crime, no one's there to help you right now. So protect you and yours at all costs. And I mean all costs. All that fucking pent up bullshit that everybody got from 2024, you want to crash the fuck out, save it. You about to need it. This is not a time to relax. This is not a time to fucking chill out. This is about to become a fight for resources. And you're also going to be dealing with people in the society of LA. All these homeless people been waiting for their moment. This is their time to shine. They're already breaking into houses, businesses, stealing. People are setting more fires just because they want to watch this shit go down. So keep in mind, the fire going away is threat number 1. I'm happy if you survived. I'm so fucking goddamn sorry everybody's in this goddamn position. It's the worst thing that can happen. But this is threat number 2. This is the one you really got to pray to make it the fuck out of. And when I say protect you and yours at all costs, I mean at all costs, because their crimes are kind of free for all. But if you got to do what you got to do, everybody's kind of free. This is all alleged also, because I'm making this video. But everybody there, you know what the fuck is really going on. You know what to do. So do not hesitate to do it. And the other thing, women, stick the fuck together. Be as vicious as you have to be. Nobody can respond to a crime call right now. Cops can't get down the fucking road to nobody. If men want to come in your house and overpower you, or men want to catch you and find you, what you gonna do? There's no one to call, there's no one to help. So when I say life or death, and it's your life or your death, so act accordingly. This is not over. And there's no time to cry yet. Not yet. I am so fucking sorry to everybody caught up in this. I'm gonna send you strength. Ain't no thoughts and prayers and bullshit. Baby, I'm gonna try and send you some fucking strength. Do what you've got to do.
That is 100% where we're at right now. This is not just a catastrophe that they're going to rain money down on us. No, we're in a war right now for our own property, our own homes. And I'm assuming a lot of this is going to bleed into Orange County, which is where I live. Fortunately, I live a good chunk of a ways away from LA County, but still, there will be some bleed over. And all of us have to be prepared. And I pray that most of us out there took care of our Second Amendment issues already, because it's going to be difficult not to, it's going to be difficult to do it now. So prayers and positive thoughts and strength and love to everybody right now. Everybody. Special Counsel David Weiss, he's expected to release his final report on his year-long investigation of Hunter Biden as soon as next week. Curious to see if they're able to stop that from coming out. Didn't let Trump stop his thing. Are they going to try to stop this, or is Weiss going to be able to put his out, or is Weiss's thing even so vanilla it won't even matter? Hard to say. Merrick Garland is supposed to let it come out. We'll see if he does. Laken Riley Act overcomes filibuster in the Senate as the Dems tried to stop this from coming to a vote, or from being able to get a vote. Fortunately, the seven Democrat senators were able to turn the tide and get us at 60 votes, so they were able to stop the filibuster. We have once again defeated the Democrats. Now, has it come to a vote yet? Not yet, but it will be able to. Oh, wow, 84-9. So only 9 brutally bad people said no. In fact, this has got to be the ones that voted against it. So Cory Booker, Senator Cory Booker, Democrat, New Jersey. Mazie Hirono, Democrat, Hawaii. Andy Kim, Democrat, New Jersey. Ed Markey, Democrat, Massachusetts. Jeff Merkley, Democrat, Oregon. Bernie Sanders, fucking retard, Vermont. Brian Schatz, Democrat, Hawaii. And Tina Smith, Democrat, Minnesota. And Elizabeth Warren, a.k.a. Pocahontas, Democrat, Massachusetts. They were the 9 Democrats that voted against this Laken Riley, trying to keep the Laken Riley going, trying to keep the filibuster going. These are some of the most shameful individuals in Congress right now. Those names should be, if they're in any of your states, you all need to seriously start pushing to remove these people. They need to be heavily primaried. I don't care if they get replaced with another friggin' Democrat. These numbnuts gotta go. They can't stay in office anymore. That's it. End of story. We're done talking about all that nonsense. All right, got a whole bunch of Trump stuff to talk about. First off, Trump did make a call to Alito, and of course it caused a lot of people to freak out and say that, Trump, you're going to have to recuse yourself from the Supreme Court case of trying to maybe stop the Merrick Garland releasing the Jack Smith report. But actually what Alito was talking to Trump about is one of the people on his team is apparently getting asked to be a part of Trump's administration. And so that's what they talked about. And Trump was trying to find out if this individual was any good or anything like that. Supposedly they didn't talk about the case at all. But of course, with Alito, the dude that his wife put the flag up and put it in a distressed position and all sorts of stuff, they obviously hate Alito and they hate his wife, just like they hate Clarence Thomas's wife. Same situations. This is the deep state at work. We will continue to destroy them. Now, Trump can be sentenced Friday. The Supreme Court says in their 5-4 ruling, John Roberts and Coney Barrett were the 2 Republicans, essentially, that went with the rest. I wasn't surprised about this. I thought it was interesting that Coney Barrett and Roberts did that, but otherwise it would have passed. Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh all were the 4 that said, no, they should not be able to release this. The other 5 said they could. Again, 5-4 ruling, it shows what it shows. I think this was always supposed to happen because one of the good things is once sentencing occurs, Trump can then appeal. But until there's a sentence, he can't appeal. He tried, they wouldn't let him. This had to happen, always. My guess is, and still is that he was doing some 5D chess on them, trying to force them to rule. And of course, they wanted to try to make it seem like, now we put a convicted felon in jail. We'll see what happens. I don't think this gets overturned that quickly, but that process could begin before he's even in office, and it will be unturned or overturned at some point. So again, it went forward. So Trump, I think, doing the right thing, came out and said, I appreciate the time and effort of the United States Supreme Court in trying to remedy the great injustice done to me by the highly conflicted acting justice who should not have been allowed to try this case. Every legal scholar stated unequivocally that this is a case that should never have been brought. There was no case against me. In other words, I am innocent of all of the judge's made-up fake charges. This was nothing other than the weaponization of our justice system against a political opponent. It's called lawfare, and nothing like this has ever happened in the United States of America, and it should never be allowed to happen again. To this day, this highly political and corrupt judge has put a gag order on me, which takes away my First Amendment right to speak about very important aspects of this case. For the sake and sanctity of the presidency, I will be appealing this case and am confident that justice will prevail. The pathetic, dying remnants of the witch hunt against me will not distract us as we unite and make America great again. And what we understand as well is, because this was ruled on today, what we've learned is that the gag order is no longer. Now, they were trying to figure out a way to keep it going, but the case is over. Can't continue a gag order. So the gag order has expired, to the best we understand. So here's Merchan's sentencing. Fox News did a little chit-chat about it, and then I think we've got the next slide gets a little more into it. Check this out.
And in wrapping up, Trump said that this is a great embarrassment to the state of New York. And then Jonathan pointed out this idea that Michael Colangelo left his position as a deputy or assistant attorney general at the Department of Justice to take on the mantle of a humble state prosecutor for this case. I mean, that was something that a lot of people said, well, that draws a direct connection between what's going on in New York City and what's going on at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Exactly. So there is a lot going on, and this whole thing is just a sham. This was pretty good. People have signs outside the courtroom. Enough is enough. I think we got some audio on this. I didn't listen to it all the way through. It was like good halfway through. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to use this. So I'll be watching it with you. But all said, we've got this component as well.
He said, quite simply, I was indicted because my accountant labeled legal expenses, and that's why I'm here. He said this person could have labeled them concrete or electrical or anything like that. They didn't. They were legal expenses because they were payments to a lawyer. They were logged as such, and now I've been indicted. He also talked about Michael Cohen. He said how he was a disbarred attorney, but yet he was allowed to speak as if he was George Washington. He pointed out from the screen that he was speaking from, he saw into the courtroom, and he could see Matthew Colangelo, who used to be a top senior official at the Biden Department of Justice, who left that spot, took a pretty big career downgrade to go join Alvin Bragg and prosecute Donald Trump. He pointed him out and said, this is evidence that the Department of Justice was involved. That was his perspective. And then he said, and I thought this was a very effective line, he said, speaking to Judge Marchand, he said, people watched the trial in your courtroom and the people voted decisively. I won all 7 swing states. And, as he was saying that, I was thinking about, as I walked into the courtroom, that the only protesters, per se, who were here were Trump supporters. And even as I'm standing here right now, I'm looking into a square and I'm looking at people holding Trump flags. I'm looking at a person who has a sign that says, enough is enough. We voted. We don't want this lawfare anymore. And I will note on the audio playback that we're about to get from the court, and so everyone will be able to hear for themselves, it is noteworthy that during the trial, there was no audio, there were no cameras, but for this particular sentencing, Judge Marchand agreed to have audio. I can't help but think it's because he wants the world to hear his voice sentence Donald Trump, because we were not able to have that before. But this is how these things go.
So, Kerry, let me ask you this question. So you were there as Donald Trump made his statement to the court. He's been under a gag order for these many months, which he continues to say does not allow him to say the things that he wants to say, but he appeared to say a few of the things that he's been hanging on to in the court. How did his statement to the court strike you?
It was pretty tempered. He was making actually a very effective, reasonable legal argument the entire time. He did mention the gag order, and he offhandedly said, I'm probably still under it right now. Joshua Steinglass, the prosecutor for the DA's office, his tone was different than Donald Trump's. He was dramatic. He was a bit over the top. He included what I thought were a lot of gratuitous details, very, very critical of Donald Trump, very critical of his role in this country and how he handled himself. I thought it was a bit disconnected from reality in terms of what just happened a few weeks ago, 2 months ago with the election, and thought it was a bit unnecessary. Now, Judge Marchand, typically a soft-spoken person, and he continued to be so today. He talked about how much he thought through this decision. He defended his rejection of the immunity argument, also defended the unconditional discharge, and at the end, he wished Donald Trump Godspeed as he takes his second term.
Yeah, I guess they didn't do the audio. That bummed me out. I was hoping that was, but still, I thought that was pretty good. Pretty good stuff going on there. So after all was said and done, Trump truthed out. The radical Democrats have lost another pathetic, un-American witch hunt after spending tens of millions of dollars, wasting over 6 years of obsessive work that should have been spent on protecting New Yorkers from violent, rampant crime that is destroying the city and state. Coordinating with the Biden-Harris Department of Injustice and Lawless Weaponization, and bringing completely baseless, illegal, and fake charges against your 45th and 47th president, me. I was given an unconditional discharge. That result alone proves that, as all legal scholars and experts have said, there is no case, there was never a case, and this whole scam fully deserves to be dismissed. The real jury, the American people, have spoken by re-electing me with an overwhelming mandate in one of the most consequential elections in history. As the American people have seen, this case had no crime, no damages, no proof, no facts, no law, only a highly conflicted judge, a star witness who is disbarred, disgraced, serial perjurer, and criminal election interference. Today's event was despicable charade, and now that it's over, we will appeal this hoax, which has no merit, and restore the trust of Americans in our once great system of justice. Make America great again. 100% true. Julie Kelly posted this, which was pretty solid information. FEC reports show Lauren Mershon's Democratic consulting firm raked in at least $7.3 million between the end of May 2024, after President Trump was convicted, and Election Day. Top clients during that time include Tammy Baldwin, Gretchen Whitmer, John Tester, and Cory Booker. Of course, Cory Booker being one of the 9 people that voted against the Lake and Riley. We see the way the game is played. Court names new judge in Trump's civil fraud case before reassigning previous judge hours later. This is very interesting. Initially, they took Judge Arthur Engoron off the case, this legal case that's happening, right? It was New York court assigned a new judge to preside over the civil fraud case against President-elect Trump, brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James, seemingly replacing Judge Arthur Engoron. But hours later, the court put him back on the case. Sources close to Trump's legal team told Fox News Digital the case and the trial were handled by Judge Arthur Engoron, who was accused by Trump allies of acting with bias against the president-elect, his family, and his company. So they switched him off, and then about 3-4 hours later, put him back on. Wonder how that happened, right? Again, more of the deep state doing their standard crap. It's the way the game's played. Appeals court won't block partial release of special counsel Jack Smith's Trump report. Again, I think this is supposed to come out, but a federal appeals court in Atlanta on Thursday rejected a bid to block the release of the portion of special counsel Jack Smith's final report detailing his investigation and prosecution of President-elect Donald Trump, stemming from an alleged plan to subvert the transfer of power after the 2020 election. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit denied the request from Walt Nata, an aide to Trump, and Carlos de Oliveira, the former property manager at Mar-a-Lago, who were charged for their role in allegedly obstructing a separate federal investigation into Trump's handling of the sensitive information. They were trying to get the release blocked as well because it's going to prejudice people towards his guilt, even though none of this stuff has actually gone all the way through trial. Attorney Merrick Garland's going to go ahead and release it. So just, again, a lot of ridiculousness. Supreme Court's going to hear arguments over the fate of TikTok on Friday. Now, there has been discussions already about this, and long story short, it's sounding like a majority of the justices are actually in favor of shutting down this app, which will be very interesting. So TikTok might very well be shut down. They are probably not going to want to sell. I'll be very curious to see if that happens, but this is a big part of what China is trying to do anyways, and that's to get control of the discussion that's being had, get control of the narrative, and also keep, of course, any of this crazy stuff from making it into any of the Chinese citizens' ears. God forbid those people actually find anything out, that's true. So this is going to be interesting. We'll see. It sounds like it's possible that on January 19th, TikTok will be shut down unless they sell, which I don't think they'll do. Again, I don't like the idea of shutting down the app, but again, it's not secure, so I'm not going to cry any tears. That's for damn sure, and I have zero love for TikTok, so I won't miss it. I know some of you guys will, but meh. Got a couple pieces of video here. This is President Trump talking about how him and Obama were yucking it up. Someone asked him specifically, like, are you besties or whatever? Something to that effect. I don't think it's quite right, but his response is, that's pretty cool. And yeah, I get what he's saying.
Off the top, you mentioned the Carter funeral today. What were you talking to Barack Obama about?
It did look very friendly, I must say. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it, how friendly it looked. I saw it on your wonderful network just a little while ago before I came in, and I said, boy, they look like two people that like each other, and we probably do. We have little different philosophies, right? But we probably do. I don't know. We just got along. But I got along with just about everybody on that. We met backstage, as you know, before we went on. And I thought it was a beautiful service. But we all got along very well, which is good.
So, again, no, he's on Team Trump or anything crazy like that. Also got another little bit of Trump here talking about the drones. And he's day one. He said, well, day two or whatever, about a day. Let's put it that way. Those were his words. But here's Trump talking about that.
A story that kind of disappeared very suddenly. Do you have any idea whatever happened to the drones?
What happened to drones?
Well, you said that you thought the government knew what was happening with these drones over New Jersey. There were some by Bedminster.
I don't know. They're over Bedminster a lot, so I can imagine. I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones. And it's not only with me. Glenn was telling me today that in Virginia they have drones all over the place, too, and nobody's reporting it. I don't know why they're not. Do you want to say something about that?
Just one quick comment, which is we are home to the largest naval base in the world in Quantico, and we house a lot of the SEAL teams and have a huge national security infrastructure. And now for 2 years running, we have had drone incursion over secure airspace, and we still don't know why. And I think that's absolutely unacceptable. And I think President Trump and the new leadership coming in, I think, will work diligently to understand who's behind this and what we do in order to stop the digital surveillance of all of our secure infrastructure.
Is it dangerous?
Well, I can tell you this. While we were dealing with a terrorist attack in New Orleans, we had drones being flown over our nuclear reactors in Louisiana. And we brought that attention to the FAA. We've been asking the FAA to give these states the ability to mitigate these drones. And it's sitting on some bureaucrat's desk. And that's real.
Nobody knows. They don't want to talk about it. Go ahead, Governor, you were going to say?
I was just going to say we have drones in Wyoming flying over our infrastructure as well. And it's incredibly frustrating that we not only have no way of knowing what it is, but nobody knows how to deal with them.
They don't want to talk about it, and nobody knows why. They don't want to talk about it. That could be us sending drones. I hope that's the case, us doing it and doing research, and maybe they don't want to talk about it from that standpoint. I hope it's not an enemy, but we're going to find out on the 21st, the day after. You have to give me a little time for the inauguration, but shortly thereafter, we'll give you a report on it. We'll tell you exactly what it is. They know, and it's very strange that they...
A story that kind of just...
Close enough to the end of it. It's very strange that they're not saying anything, obviously. So we are going to be finding out some information, and we are obviously going to be getting the right guy in office. Dan Bongino has some pretty strong words, and he's a little hesitant to say it because when you talk about the potentiality of an assassination of the president, you're putting energy towards it, one, and two, you're sort of asking copycats to deal with it. I think there's a very real threat. We've talked about this, but the threat from drones. The threat from above. When he's out there, he'll have the bulletproof glass in front of him, but that doesn't protect him from above. So how that's handled, whether or not the Secret Service is even on our side, I don't know. We're going to find out, but I'm sure Trump is well aware of this problem. That much is true.
Here's what he had to say in regards to the inauguration, and I'll give you my thoughts on what happened yesterday. Go for it.
I'll show you what I mean in a second. Another thing I've been telling you about, the inauguration's coming up. We're 2 weeks away. Folks, I'm really hesitant to talk about this, but I feel an obligation to put it out there because I don't have any other avenue to do it other than you guys in the Bongino Army. I don't think the Secret Service is prepared. And I think the Secret Service, along with the FBI, are lying to this transition team. This transition team knows it. And unfortunately, there's nothing they can do until they formally take power in 2 weeks. But when they take power in 2 weeks, Donald Trump is going to be sitting there exposed at the inauguration.
So here's not just anybody. Dan Bongino was a police officer, New York City police officer. And then after that, he went and served as a U.S. Secret Service agent from 1999 to 2011. So think about it.
So again, Dan Bongino knows what he's talking about, and I think it's a legitimate threat. So we'll see exactly how things continue to play out. Incoming National Security Advisor Mike Waltz told Breitbart News exclusively that every intelligence official from the various departments and agencies across the federal government currently detailed to the National Security Council at the White House under outgoing President Joe Biden will be expected to vacate the premises by 12:01 p.m. Eastern on Inauguration Day when President-elect Donald Trump is inaugurated again. None of those people are going to be allowed to stay over. None of those people are trusted. They're all considered deep state, enemy of the state, all the above. So Mike Waltz is laying the groundwork that y'all are done, and that is all there is to it. The Biden administration on Friday imposed its broadest package of sanctions yet, targeting Russia's oil and gas revenues in an attempt to give Kyiv and the incoming administration of Donald Trump leverage to reach a deal for peace in the Ukraine. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I mean, he probably did put sanctions on him. I doubt that helps the situation at all. I don't think anything he does helps anything, but nah. Trump reveals meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin is in the works. He wants to meet. They're already putting together or trying to put together a meeting. This is going to happen once he's in office. It can't happen before that. But it demonstrates once again that Trump's willingness to work with Putin and talk with Putin, and maybe even Zelensky, probably. But obviously, Biden's administration hasn't been doing that at all. That's for sure. Italy's Giorgia Meloni. She says Trump's Greenland remarks, it's a message to some other big global players. He doesn't actually think he's going to take over Greenland, but he does think, or she's saying, that she thinks Trump is doing this as a message to the deep state, essentially, without saying it that way, the other big global players. Essentially saying there's a new sheriff in town, things are changing, and again, whatever distractions they've got going on in their neck of the woods, we're going to capitalize on them every single chance of the way. Now, I would say with Panama, this is still how I see it happening, especially once China gets involved with Taiwan, once that game begins, Trump is going to send an embargo to Panama Canal, and he will shut it down and renegotiate a deal. Because the art of the deal, you have to have some strength and you have to have a position of strength. And China will not be able to send enough presence over here to be able to hold the canal open for themselves. We will be taking that back from China, and China will be distracted at the time. That's my guess. That's my take. Either way, he might still just do the embargo because China, I think, would have an extraordinarily difficult time getting enough of a presence over here to actually cause us to not be able to stop them. Again, they've got a number of ships, sure. They've got 3 aircraft carriers. They don't know how to land on them. So any flights they might try to, well, there's some that do. I'm sure they're getting better at that. But most of their forces do not know how to land on these aircraft carriers. They're just not qualified or certified. So makes it difficult to bring a lot of air support. Their planes can't get all the way out here. They're destroyers, and they've got some frigates that can, and they're capable. They've got a lot of missiles and stuff, but they're toast by themselves. By themselves, they're toast. So I don't think there's a lot China can do to try to hold the Panama Canal. And if anything, we might do it just to try to make it more difficult for them to try to mess around with Taiwan, because they would have to bring such a large amount of forces over this way, not to mention on the other side of the Panama Canal, which is quite a long sail as well. So we'll see how those things play out, but yeah, Trump is sending messages to other groups and making sure they understand what's happening. Donald Trump truthed this out. Venezuelan democracy activist Maria Corina Machado and President-elect Gonzalez are peacefully expressing the voices and the will of the Venezuelan people, with hundreds of thousands of people demonstrating against the regime. The great Venezuelan American community in the United States overwhelmingly supports a free Venezuela and strongly supported me. These freedom fighters should not be harmed and must stay safe and alive. And essentially what happened is they captured Maria Corina Machado, and they've put her in jail. And obviously the opposition leader, she was arrested Thursday when her motorcycle convoy was fired upon by security forces as it departed an anti-government protest in Caracas, according to aides. Machado emerged from months of hiding earlier Thursday to reappear in public as part of this last-ditch effort to attempt to block President Nicolas Maduro from clinging to power. He put her in jail. They want the people fighting each other, but the people know better. Mojano was talking about this. So we're going to get her out of harm's way, I'm sure, at some point. Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro was sworn in for a third presidential term after an election that the opposition says was rigged. The opposition has the proof that they won. And, of course, dictators do what dictators do. It's kind of funny how we've got the same thing with the dude Zelensky, right, in Kiev. He's done the same thing. He's pushed off their elections. They're like almost a year past their election now because they're in the middle of a war. It's the dictators that are causing the largest problems in the world, and their days are done. U.S. announces $25 million reward for the arrest of Venezuela's Maduro. They're pushing hard to get somebody within that regime to take this guy down. I think that's those 7 people that got arrested, 2 of which were Americans. I talked about that yesterday. It all ties into this type of stuff. They are definitely trying to shut down what's going on there. Elon Musk tweets about Muslim pedophile gangs. Now he's being investigated by the UK's government and their counter-extremism unit as a potential threat to the security of the country. Yeah, this is just insanity. I don't think Elon Musk cares. I'm pretty sure he'd say something to the effect of, go fuck yourself, go fuck your own face. I don't know. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Britain's natural gas storage levels are concerningly low, apparently, with less than a week of demand in store. The operator of the country's largest gas storage site said on Friday. Once again, England is going through much similar stuff that the United States is going through. They're doing it in their own English fashion, I guess. Obviously, I have no idea if they're angry, but we'll assume they are at this point. Pretty sure they're pretty pissed off in England. You'd never know it when you listen to him talk like Farage. He always sounds so pleasant. Everything's so wonderful. It's like, oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. Von der Leyen seeks a meeting with Trump as EU prepares for policy changes. She's the one that's in charge of the EU. She shouldn't be. I don't know if Trump's going to dog her or how that's going to work. I mean, he's pretty good about talking to everybody, but she's apparently trying to get some FaceTime with the man and see if she's capable of accomplishing that. There's part of me that hopes she doesn't, but Mel Gibson talking about 3 friends he had. This is good information that's not going to be allowed to be shared everywhere. In fact, I can't wait to see what YouTube does with this part of my video. We'll find out. And by the way, for those of you that are literally watching me on Rumble, just because a lot of people steal my stuff, I just want to remind you guys how the channels work. So I'm just going to grab a random channel here. What I want you to do is just click on the channel of my page, wherever you're watching it on Rumble, hopefully. Click on the actual channel. So the underlinked part that's like says on the Fringe or whatever the hell it says, because they're, of course, lying. And then what you should see is this link, and it should say, what is this? Did I get the... Yeah, okay. It shouldn't be user, though. It should be C channel in the middle. Normally, people have channels, so we'll do it this way. And then I could have done that better for you guys, probably, huh? Let's maybe do a better example. Let's see if I can do a better example. You
want to give up?
Blaster Yak, is that going to work? Yeah, here we go. This is what it should normally look like. So you should see rumble.com/C for channel, and then you will see the channel name. This should say On the Fringe. If you see On the Fringe there, just like that, where it says https://rumble.com/C/On the Fringe, hit enter. That's me. That's my channel. If you're seeing that, you're watching it on my channel. If you're not seeing that, please go to my channel and subscribe to me and unsubscribe from whoever is stealing my content. It would just be an enormous help. All said, here is Mel Gibson. I want to see this interview really bad, too. Here's Mel Gibson talking to Joe Rogan about friends of his with stage 4 cancer and how they don't have cancer anymore.
I'll tell you a good story.
Okay.
I have 3 friends. All 3 of them had stage 4 cancer. All 3 of them don't have cancer right now at all. And they had some serious stuff going on.
And what did they take?
Jesus. They took some, what you've heard they've taken.
Ivermectin. Fenbendazole. Yeah. I'm hearing that a lot.
They drank hydrochloride something or other.
There's studies on that now where people have proven that
people drinking methylene blue and stuff like that.
Yeah, methylene blue, which was a fabric dye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a textile dye. And now they find out it has profound effects on your mitochondria.
Yep.
Yeah.
This stuff works, man.
There's a lot of stuff that does work, which is very strange because, again, it's profit. When you hear about things that are demonized and that turn out to be effective, you always wonder, well, what is going on here? How is our medical institutions, how have they failed us so that things that do cure you are not promoted because they're not profitable?
Exactly. How is it? It's because it's not profitable, because the companies want you to get their chemotherapies, and they want to get you on their drugs that you have to take for the rest of your life. Researchers at the University of Colorado Boulder have found the mechanism for a groundbreaking vaccine that could help people keep their weight in check by tapping into the power of healthy bacteria. I am not promoting this. I'm sharing this just as a story, and I put it next to a positive story because they're both about medicine. Again, I'm just sharing this because I think this will actually be the downfall of so many people. People that are overweight. It took you a long time to become overweight. Anybody that's looking for a quick fix, you're asking for health problems. Because here's the thing. The way this kind of works is people that have high-fat, high-sugar diets, they have typically health problems. This thing is supposed to help with this bacteria. It's supposed to help them lose weight. So rather than fixing your diet, which is the problem, they want you to take something, a vaccine, so the problems go away, but you still continue to do the unhealthy thing. That can't be good for your body. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm sure a bunch of people will try this because it's an easy way to lose weight. Whatever the case is, it's not a good idea, that's for sure. I want to remind you of something that is a good idea, though. I love this product. It's newer products that I'm dealing with, or using, I should say. Stem Active. This is like 3 parts that I'm actually using. The Stem Active, which is critical for your body's repair. This helps immediately create a higher number of stem cells in your body by like 2 to 6 million. Like, it's a pretty surprising number. I think you normally have around 12 to 14 million, something like that. As we age, those numbers start to decrease. This literally, you take 2 of these, and within like 20 minutes or something like that, your body has already had this huge surge of additional stem cells. Extraordinarily powerful in helping keeping you healthy. And what stem cells do essentially is they're cells that can really mimic or be any organ or body part cells. Most cells aren't. Like, you're a heart cell, you're going to be a heart cell forever. If you're a lung cell, you're a lung cell forever. If you're a stem cell, you can be a heart cell, you can be a lung cell, you can be a muscle cell, you can be any cells. That's what's cool about stem cells. That's why stem cell therapies have helped so much. And, they take them usually from fetuses, which is really messed up. But the younger the stem cells, the supposedly better they are at doing what they do. But that's what stem cells do, and this is a way to help you naturally through it. They've got a gel, which I think is sort of sold out, but it's supposed to be back in stock anytime. So if you guys would prefer to get the gel, it's just another way to get the same product inside of yourself. Amaze is one that I use. This is another one. This is a collagen supplement. This helps with your nails, your joints and bones, your hair, your skin. It's an incredible collagen supplement. The taste of it's actually kind of growing on me. I'm actually kind of starting to enjoy it now. At first, I thought it was a little funky. I don't know. I'm getting used to it. But this is a very powerful product, and I've been enjoying the usage of it. And I actually think it's starting to make a difference. I don't know. I'm continuing to use it. It's still about 2 weeks into it. And another one that is huge is this guy. Now, AO12 is something different, but the Prime, this helps you with your nitric oxide. This helps get more energy inside of you. This helps with your sex drive, even too, your libido. This helps with a lot of stuff along those lines, being able to carry more oxygen within your blood. This is a very powerful product too that has helped give me better energy, help me feel good. And it's interesting because it's actually the other day I was like smelling, I'm like, what does that smell? And it was me. I think I was giving off the smell, but it kind of smelled like this berry flavored. And I'm like, that's kind of a weird smell for me to have, but not a bad smell, that's for sure. Whatever the case was, I think it's making a huge difference as well. I'm noticing more energy. I'm noticing feeling better. I'm sleeping better at night. There's a lot of really positive things I'm noticing. And finally, this is one I'm not using at the moment, but it helps with free radical damage. This is one of the things that kind of ages us quickly. AO12 is a formula that's supposed to help with your immune system and getting these powerful, getting these antioxidants in your body so they can remove the nasty stuff. Go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Check out these incredible products. You can try one, try many, whatever you want to do. Very helpful. If you're worried about hair, bone, skin, stuff like that, go ahead and jump on the collagen. But the Stem Active, this is one of those things that kind of helps you repair your own body. So if you're at one of those places where you probably need a little help kind of repairing after whatever, this is a very wonderful product to be taken. So once again, danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Take these steps to take care of yourself, because as we've seen, they don't care about you at all. And they'd essentially kill us off if they could, right? You know that. Supreme Court signals it's going to uphold its ban on the TikTok over national security concerns. This was the thing I was talking about. It should have been with the other story, but whatever the case is. Also, Mark Zuckerberg's Meta is terminating major DEI programs effective immediately, including for hiring, training, and picking suppliers, according to new employee memos. They've also changed the rules on what the left would call harassment. That's been changed. You're now, I guess, able to say things. I didn't really cover the story because I didn't really want to promote people going out and harassing people that you disagree with. I mean, being mean to somebody is not cool, in my opinion. And we'd call that bullying is really what that is. Again, just because someone's gay or transsexual or whatever isn't necessarily a reason to hate them. If they're trying to force it down your throat or force it to your kids, it's a different story altogether. That actually makes somebody, I think, more of a predator, frankly. And in which case, sometimes you've got to trap predators. I mean, I'm not saying I approve of being mean to people. Again, I don't get involved typically in that kind of stuff. I kind of don't tread on me, and I'm not really going to mess with you. It's just generally how I live. But I know we all walk to the beat of a different drummer, so it is what it is. Judge is weighing on holding Giuliani in contempt after his $148 million defamation award. Dude, Giuliani, you keep going, boy. Just keep fighting the fight. I will support you every step of the way. And I don't know what's going to happen. I know they're going to throw the book at you hard, but I think he knows that too. So that's going to be interesting when that all plays out. Some plane, and it's obviously snowing there. It's a Delta Airlines, in Atlanta, Georgia, so maybe it's not snow. But they literally evacuated it with the slides. Don't know what's going on. Don't know what was wrong with this plane. But for them to use the slides, that's expensive. Very expensive for a plane. Like, that plane ain't going to be flying anytime for a little bit. This is kind of weird that they're doing this. And if you'll notice, they're running, which would imply that whatever happened on this plane is either an extremely foul smell, possibly a flammable smell, something. But these people are getting the hell off and getting the hell away quickly. I don't know. We'll find out if there's more information that does end up coming out around what the hell actually happened. Heartbreaking, sickening stories from Massachusetts migrant family shelters. Again, just some really, really serious incident reports are coming from these hotels that the state is using to put all these illegal aliens, let's call it that, and there is all sorts of crimes being committed, rapes, just child endangerment, a whole bunch of horrible stuff, Again, long article, but yeah, not good at all. I wanted to talk about this Mel Gibson story. Yeah, we'll cover this first. I'm long, but whatever. It's Friday's show. By the way, enjoy the music show today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Very cool, like kind of, I don't know, softer rock, if you will, inspired by Kansas. It's going to be a lot of fun. It'll go live at 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern, or watch it after. It's a really good set of music that I think most of you guys will enjoy. Here's Mel Gibson talking about the new movie he wants to do about the resurrection of Jesus, which I think a lot of you guys will enjoy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So this story that you want to tell about good and evil, like, do you have a script, or is it just a thing in your head? What is it?
Yeah, it's the resurrection story, but it's not linear, because you can't really. It's hard to understand, so it's got to be put in a framework where you answer a few other questions as well, and you have to juxtapose the event itself against everything else so that it makes some kind of sense in a bigger picture, which is a hard thing to do. And it took my brother and I and a guy called Randall Wallace, plus my brother and I, took us 6-7 years to write it.
So are you doing this with historians as well? Are you trying to make it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, historical stuff. Well, I regard the Gospels as history. It's verifiable history. Some people say, "Oh, it's a fairy tale." He never existed, but he did. And there are other accounts, verifiable historical accounts outside the biblical ones that also bear this up. That yes, he did exist. And the other aspect of that is that all the evangelists, the apostles who went out there. Every single one of those guys died rather than deny their belief. And nobody dies for a lie. Nobody.
Right.
So that's part of what I'm doing. It's like showing nobody dies for a lie.
Yeah. Well, the resurrection is the one that is the most difficult for people to swallow.
Yes.
That's the one that requires the most faith.
The most faith and the most belief. Yeah, resurrection.
Yeah.
Who gets back up 3 days later after he gets murdered in public? Who gets back up under his own power? Buddha didn't do that shit.
Right.
So.
You believe that was a real event?
Yeah, I do.
I just love how devout he is, too, especially. I think it's a beautiful thing. He's Catholic, of course, but very, very devout. A couple final stories here. Pizzagate gunman was fatally shot by police during a traffic stop. So the guy that went into Pizzagate a number of years back went in and started shooting, and he was like saying that there was this whole, conspiracy, which many of us are aware of, that there was stuff going on in the basement. They were trafficking children. He got arrested, ended up in jail, I think, for a few years. Recently was out, got stopped on a traffic stop. I think they realized who he was and that he should be arrested. When they went to try to arrest him, he got out with a gun and actually pointed it in the direction of the police officers, and death by cop. So this guy's made a lot of bad decisions when it comes to what to do and what not to do with your Second Amendment. These would all be examples of what not to do. There are better ways to handle this. But again, someone that, didn't make really good choices. Actor Alec Baldwin has filed a civil lawsuit for malicious prosecution and civil rights violations in the fatal shooting of the cinematographer on the set of the Western movie Rust. He's literally suing people for trying to bust him for pulling the trigger and shooting the individual. Now, again, should he have checked? Yes, but that's really what that gun person's supposed to have handled, right? There was definite failures, and okay, sure, whatever. Alec wasn't found guilty. All right, whatever. I'm not even gonna try to go down there. I think the dude's a douchehole. I don't think anything positive about him. I'll never watch another one of his movies. I have absolute disdain for this pile of shit, but it just seems weird to me that he's able to countersue all these people for what happened. Whatever. He's calling it defamation and everything else. The guy's a pile of trash. Finally, I want to just leave you guys with, of course, a great place where you can get merchandise that, one, supports the channel, which is always cool. Two, also, there's ways to support kind of the bigger movement that's going on, helping with the information war, helping kind of get people up to speed on really what some of these significant events are. 9/11 is one of the big ones we talk about. Obviously, the July 13th, when he got shot in the ear, that whole thing in Ephesians 6:11. We've got a shirt for that, and it's a lot of really cool information on the back. Obviously, the Great Awakening, my channel. I've got my hat. We've got the new Donald Trump president mugs, and we've got ones that are specifically just mine. But the Donald Trump mugs are really cool because on the back, you've got the Great Awakening, the DRS emblem on there, my microphone with the S and the stand. Again, just something I'm very proud of. It's my own little creation, and I love it. I just think it's cool as hell. Not really a correct plug because you would never plug a microphone in with a two-pronged plug, but it just works for the sake of argument. Usually it's going to be an XLR, which is what a lot of these are, and the other side of the plug is an XLR, but let's not go splitting hairs. But again, some really, really cool products. We've got the 5G warfare stuff as well. So a great place to go. You want to go to truththread.shop. That's truththread.shop. When you buy a shirt or whatever you get, you're going to get an email kind of confirming that purchase. When you get the shirt or whatever in the mail, please take a picture of yourself in it. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to, but at least yourself wearing it. Maybe even outside, maybe in front of something cool, whatever your scene is, and send that to that same email, and those pictures will make it to me. Don't send questions, hey, ask Dan this. That'll never, ever make it to me. I've specifically told them, don't waste my time with that kind of crap. So I'm sorry, that's not a way to get in touch with me. but it is a way to get pictures to me, and I want to create these videos where we show people you guys wearing the pictures. It's pretty outstanding. But we got the 9/11 Never Forget inside job, and then of course we got pictures on the back of these shirts, just as one example right here. And this is kind of what they're all like. There's a lot of information on the backs of these shirts. So never forget, sometimes truth can be stranger than lies. So again, a lot of stuff going on. It really talks about Building 7 and all the crazy stuff. So great products. Go to truththread.shop. That's truththread.shop. You can help the channel out a bunch, and I think we've also got the 5G warfare stuff, just to remind you guys, which explains what the 5 different generations of warfare are on the back. Again, very cool stuff. And no, unfortunately, the model doesn't come with the shirts. Kind of a bummer, but whatever. At least we had the modeling the shirts. It's pretty fantastic. And this guy is he's taken by the lady that prints the shirts. Yeah. The hubby. All said, truththread.shop. That's truththread.shop. You can be a part of the whole solution, part of the information war, part of helping other people wake up. It's fun to be a part of that. So please check that out. All said, again, music show is going to be coming up in about 3 hours from right now, as far as my world's concerned. By the time this video gets uploaded and you're watching it, it might be more like an hour and a half before, but I hope you guys join us. I love you guys. I hope you continue to fight forward with me. We've got a lot that's going to be happening. Things are definitely going to get very interesting before they start to get better. We need to get through the interesting part first. And also, remember, drslikesgold.com. Diversify, folks. I don't know how much time we have before it will be harder to do. Right now, it's a good time to do it. Look at diversifying. You don't want to have all your eggs in that basket for sure. And gold and silver are doing incredibly well and are continuing to go up. So drslikesgold.com. Love you guys. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.